Hi, my name is Peter Orpin. I'm a veterinary surgeon and also director of My Healthy Herd. This is the fifth in a series of videos explaining how My Healthy Herd can be used to effectively manage Johne's disease within dairy herds. I'm now going to go to the Johne's progress page. In this particular herd, we've been working on this in previous videos. It's actually got a moderate risk of entry, and initially we had a high risk of spread for Johne's. It's a red risk of spread for Johne's disease, and the disease prevalence was a big red arrow here predicting it to go upwards. We've actually instituted a control plan, and what is a good and effective thing to do is, at least on an annual basis, to go back and revisit your herds just to make sure that there's not mission drift on the control plan, and to make sure that the risks are still being contained. So on this particular herd, the plan we put in place was an improved farm management plan. There's no testing involved. This is purely husbandry. I've gone back in and done a risk assessment, and the risk of spread for Johne's disease is not green, it's amber. And the reason being is that there are still some minor risks, relatively minor risks, that are left. The farmer has chosen to feed artificial milk to the calves, to stop pooling colostrum, to stop feeding waste milk to the calves. He's also chosen not to put any sick or scouring cows actually into the maternity areas. And we've taken a significant step to actually start snatch calving the actual calves. That really means removing the calves as soon as they're born. The risks that remain really relate to the cow-to-calf risks. Milk and colostrum risks have been largely reduced. There are some minor adult risks, but we probably can't do much more with those at this stage. And the reason why we've still got some risks is that this farm still has a communal calving yard. It's a maternity pen that has more than 5 cows calving at any one time in it. It's not cleaned out after every calving, and as a consequence it's quite difficult to actually make sure that there's a totally hygienic environment for the calf. So if we were really wanting to strengthen that plan, and certainly if the farmer wanted to really make a difference, we would be looking to actually make sure that the pens were frequently cleaned out and disinfected between calvings. We were actually going to put them in individual calving boxes, so they were not going to go into a communal calving area, and they were going to be cleaned out frequently. And if we were able to do that, then the risk of spread would be reduced significantly, to the point where it's unlikely that the disease would spread significantly, and over a period of time the incidence would decline. So we've removed those risks there, and you can see now the disease spread risks are now green. The cow-to-calf risks have disappeared. And you can also now see that the prevalence prediction for the herd is now green. So this particular tool here is a very, very powerful tool. We can use that as a way of actually predicting the future prevalence of disease, because unlike many other diseases, Johne's has a long incubation period, and the testing will only demonstrate an increase in incidence in the future, in several years in advance. So I think it's very difficult to use surveillance as a testing mechanism really to monitor progress. We're better to actually use a prediction. So I feel comfortable now that if the farmer is able to apply those controls, we're going to have a reduced prevalence. If the farmer's not able to manage those controls, and it proves to be too challenging, then we need to go back and revisit the actual control plan section and select another task. Perhaps we should adopt a strategy where you use testing or quarterly testing. That may be more practical and more achievable, certainly for larger herds. And if you're not able to actually get to a point where you've got a robust plan in place with low risk of spread, then there is a risk that the plan will be incomplete and the controls may not be as adequate as you'd like. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good feel as to how the program can be used to assess risks, define prevalence, put in place a robust control plan, and go back and reassess those risks on a regular basis. In the very last video, which I'm going to do next, it's going to focus on biosecurity planning and surveillance planning, and that will complete the actual Johne's management series. Thank you.